All right. So here's my project. It's about, or my poster. Sorry, poster project. It's about electric cars. And I went with the title. Why are electric cars so cool? We're going to talk about that now. So start. We'll go with what's the difference between traditional cars and electric cars? Well, first off, I think it's pretty obvious. Traditional cars require an input of gas or fossil fuels, something like that, while electric cars run off of electricity or batteries. And personally, I think electric cars are pretty cool and everything. Everybody hates the Tesla, the Cybertruck. Personally, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it does look like a blob of metal, but it's still kind of cool. And then this right here, have you ever seen the Grand Tour? It's like had the old guys that were on Top Gear, but they're on the new show on Amazon Prime. Anyways, this is an electric supercar. It goes from like 0 to 200 in like, I swear to, it's like 3 seconds. It is the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I mean, they have a lot to offer in terms of functionality and everything. Like, for being an electric car, they have a lot of really good functionality, especially when compared to certain gas-powered cars that we have today. Seriously, if you want to go watch the Grand Tour, watch this episode specifically, and it will really help with what's going on right here with this poster. Anyways, and the context of this. So don't think like where we live right now, like in Altus or anything, like a rural town like we live in right now. Those don't really, electric cars aren't as viable here yet because we kind of live out in the middle of nowhere and it's a long distance to drive back and forth and you'd have to charge them, and there's no charging stations anywhere around here. But when you get to a big city like LA or OKC or something like that, they'll have plenty of charging stations everywhere, and they make sense because say you have to commute back and forth to work or there's traffic jams and everything. A lot of people get stuck in traffic jams. Imagine they're all driving gas cars, they're just letting off emissions while they're sitting there in traffic for 2 hours, plus trying to get to their destination, which who knows how much time that adds on. So that's just a waste of electricity, or not electricity, that's a waste of gas, and it's burning a hole in our ozone. When it comes to electric cars, if you're not pressing on the gas or anything, it's not using a major amount of electricity. So that's the context we're in right now, big city. Now, as far as research and evidence and everything, the first thing that most people worry about is the price, and that's one of the biggest problems with electric cars, is that they're expensive, really expensive. I think this is like $60,000, and then this is just a normal Tesla. I think the lowest one I saw for a used one was like $32,000. That was like 3 years old too, so pretty expensive. But that being said, they do get tax breaks if you buy one from the federal government. Now, if you buy a brand new one, you'll get a $7,500 tax break, and if you buy a used one, it'll become more of like a $4,000 tax break. Still, though, that's money that you don't have to pay on that. That's money to you for owning an electric vehicle. And you don't have to buy gas for an electric vehicle. But that's another thing people say. Doesn't the electricity that they get, where does that come from? Doesn't that use fossil fuels to make the electricity? Yes, but as you can see with this graph here I have, this shows where we get all of our electricity. This is all the sources of electricity that we have right here. And I know it's kind of hard to read on this TV, so I'll explain it. So like this biggest one right here, that's natural gas, which is what most cars run on. And then it goes to coal, and then nuclear, and then we get to the more cleaner methods, which are like wind and hydro and solar powered. Those are good. If we can increase these comparatively to shrink these, we'll have a much cleaner planet. But that's not the important part here necessarily. This is the annual emissions per vehicle on the national averages. So this one right here is all electric vehicles. That one's pretty small, and this is all gasoline. That's pretty big. Even for a hybrid, just a plain hybrid. This is a plug-in hybrid, and this is a regular hybrid. Still a lot of emissions coming from that. But just an all-electric right now, fairly small emission value. And, well, does that bring us to the conclusion? Yeah, that brings us to the conclusion. Well, in conclusion, they may not be the most option for monetarily currently. Monetarily, they may not be the best option at this time because they are, like I said, very expensive. But in the long run, they will help with our environment. They'll help clean up the environment eventually, especially if we, like I said, phase out the less clean methods of getting our electricity. We can switch to wind, solar, hydro, anything like that. Clean methods of energy, they'll all help. Is that it? That's it.